and we go on to the second part of our lesson, which is our explanation of the Burdah. We finished the first 2 lines of prose, and we are now on the third, where Imam al-Busayri rahimahullah says, فَمَا لِعَيْنَيْكَ إِن قُلْتَ اكْفُفَا هَمَةً وَمَا لِقَلْبِكَ إِن قُلْتَ اسْتَفِقْ يَهِمِي. And so what's with your eyes? If you tell them to stop shedding tears, they flow with tears. And what is with your heart? If you tell it to come to its senses, it shows the signs of ardent love. And so what's with your eyes? If you tell them to stop shedding tears, they flow with tears. And what is with your heart? If you tell it to come to its senses, it shows the signs of ardent love. Now, when the author got no reply to his questions, for it is the norm for lovers to hide their love and deny it at the first stage, he now addresses him as one would address a person who is denying an obvious truth. He expresses amazement at his condition, assuming that he was truthful in his denial. If you are truthful in the denial of love, why are your eyes unable to hold back their tears when you command them to do so? What makes your heart unable to recover its consciousness and regain normal state and persist in the mad wanderings of love? The present tense, yahimi, derived from the past tense hama, refers to a state of huyam, which is an ailment, a sickness like insanity that springs from excessive love and longing. Ayahsabu sabbu anna al-hubba munkatimun ma bayna munsajibin minhu wa muttarim. Does the lover think that love that is so evident can be concealed between tears that are constantly flowing and a heart that is raging like fire with love? Does the lover think that love that is so evident can be concealed between tears that are constantly flowing and a heart that is raging like fire with love? The lover whom he addresses has no reply to the question posed to him. And so he goes back to him, he returns to him another time, telling him that it is wrong for him to deny it. The question asked here is to express denial rather than to seek an answer to what is already obvious. All these conditions are the signs of true love. True love cannot be hidden. True love manifests itself. Here we see the author addressing him in the third person, not in the second person. Ayahsabu sabbu. Okay? He didn't say atahsabu, he didn't address him. In the third person. This is known as iltifat in the Arabic language. It's commonly used. We can find many examples of it in the Holy Quran. What is significant in its use here, meaning third person instead of directly addressing second person? What is significant in its use here is that the writer is now expressing a situation which does not pertain to the person he is addressing, but rather a state that concerns all lovers. He is now talking about a situation about all lovers. So he does not address him directly. So the use of the third person pronoun in yahsabu, okay, which can also be read as yahsibu. Okay, so the use of the third person pronoun is more appropriate. As for asob, it is derived either from the verb sobba, which means he poured, pour, implying a pouring of feelings, resembling the pouring of water in its copiousness, in its great amount, or from sobabah. Sobabah, which refers to intense passion and longing. Intense passion and longing. It is obvious from the translation of the above lines of prose that both munsajimin and muttarimi are adjectives of nouns that have not been mentioned. They are adjectives of nouns that have not been mentioned. That is, constantly flowing tears. Okay? And mutarim here, a heart raging with fire. Okay? Because we say in sajam al-ma to mean that the water flowed, and we say idtaram an-nar when we say the fire sparks into flames. So the message here is, how can he who is in love think that his love can be hidden from the people when the signs of love are obvious in the form of flowing tears and a heart that is on fire with love, and as such, his denial is wrong. How can he who is in love think that his love can be hidden from the people when the signs of love are obvious in the form of flowing tears and a heart that is on fire with love, and as such, its denial is wrong. لولا الهوى لم ترك دمعا على طلل ولا أرقت لذكر الباني والعلم. If it's not for the presence of love, you would not have shed tears upon, or you would not have shed tears because of that which remains standing from ruins. And nor would you have spent sleepless nights due to the remembrance of a fragrant tree and a mountain at the place of the dwelling of your beloved. If it is not for the presence of love, you would not have shed tears upon that which remains standing from ruins, and nor would you have spent sleepless nights due to the remembrance of a fragrant tree and a mountain at the place of the dwelling of your beloved. Lawla al-hawa. Al-hawa derives from the verb hawiya and is synonymous with love, hub. The presence of the particle lawla implies that it is impossible for him to not shed tears or suffer from insomnia, for he was in love. The present tense verb to rik from the past tense araqa is synonymous with sobba, same meaning, which means to pour, and implies the copious amounts of tears, the great amount of tears he was shedding. He was crying a lot. Talal refers to the ruins of a dwelling that are still standing, while the ruins that are flattened to the ground are called rasm. The verb and subject in arikta, wala arikta, refers to arak, which is insomnia. Okay? Insomnia. Yeah, the Prophet has taught us dua if a person has got insomnia. You know that? Yeah. Then alban refers to a sweet smelling tree from which oil is produced, known as duhnul ban. They call it Moringa peregrina. As for alam, it has many meanings and can refer to a mountain, a flag, and a spear. It is possible to construe that both the tree and mountain are intended literally to imply that the presence of these things at the place of residence of his beloved has made him shed tears and spend the sleepless nights, for they remind him of his beloved. Or its usage may be figurative, metaphorical, in that the author has likened the pleasant odor, the nice smell, and the tall build of his beloved to them. So he has likened the pleasant odor of his beloved and his tall build to the tree and to the mountain. Now, a common belief was that sleep is made possible by moisture that rises from the stomach to the brain. And that's why many of the Sufis, they used to say you should take your dinner early. Should not be drinking and eating late before you sleep, because that will make it difficult for you to wake up at night. You'll sleep heavy. The heat of love dries this moisture and sleep becomes impossible. The source of the moisture is predominantly food and drink, from which the lover is distracted due to his preoccupation with his beloved. The heat increases and moisture disappears, especially when he thinks of the places he used to be at with his beloved, and upon sighting that which resembles his beloved and reminds him of his or her qualities. The next line is not found in most of the writings available on Imam al-Busayri's Al-Burdah. The next line. I don't know whether you have it there or not. Wala a'aratka lawnay abratin wa dana. Do you have that? Ada? Ada, yes. So most of them is not, but this is found in some. A few of them you have this line. Wala a'aratka lawnay abratin wa dana dhikra al-khiyami wa dhikra sakin al-khiyami. And nor would the remembrance of the tents and the residents of the tents have temporarily bestowed upon you, literally lent you, the two states of tears and sickness. And nor would the remembrance of the tents and the residents of the tents have temporarily bestowed upon you, literally lent you, the two states of tears and sickness. So the verb a'ara means to lend, and has been used to allude to the fact that these conditions existed because of the effects of love and were not natural or permanent conditions. Lawnay, which is in the dual form, okay, from which the letter noon has been dropped due to it being in the construct state, or in Arabic you say mudaf, literally means two colors or two types, meaning two signs of love in the form of tears infused, mixed with blood and sickness. The word ad-dana is a sickness, while dhikra implies tadhakkur, to remember and recall. The words khiyam and khiyam are both the plural forms of khayma, meaning tents. The constant remembrance of the dwellings and people living in them associated with the beloved makes him weep and has left a mark on him, making his body frail and his color pale, which are the signs of sickness. فَكَيْفَ تُنْكِرُ حُبًّا بَعْدَمَا شَهِدَتْ بِهِ عَلَيْكَ عُدُولُ الدَّمْعِ وَالسَّقَمِ. Line number 6. How can you then, when the proofs have been established against you, continue to deny love, after just witnesses in the form of tears and sickness have borne testimony against you? How can you then when the proofs have been established against you, continue to deny love after such witnesses in the form of tears and sickness have borne testimony against you. The author now rejects the persistent denial of love, telling him that the proofs against his denial have been established. The word tunkiru is synonymous here with tajhadu, which means to deny despite possessing knowledge of a truth. The word udul is a plural adl, meaning just and fair. Here, clear proofs and evidence have been likened to just witnesses. وَأَثْبَتَ الْوَجْدُ خَطَّيْ عَبْرَةٍ وَدَنًا مِثْلَ الْبَهَارِ عَلَى خَدَّيْكَ وَالْعَنَمِ. After intense longing for the beloved has firmly established 2 lines of tears and the effects of sickness upon your 2 cheeks, like a yellow rose and a tree that has red branches, or a red rose. The message here is, how can you deny love when anyone who looks at you can see love on your face, meaning the signs of love on your face? Al-Wajd is interpreted as sadness that arises out of love or the fire of longing, which the winds of love bring when the beloved is mentioned. The paleness of the face is likened to a yellow rose, while tears infused with blood are likened to the red branches of that tree, or likened to a red rose itself. The benefit of these last 5 lines of prose is that, as mentioned by Imam al-Bajuri in his commentary, that if a man suspects that his wife or daughter has committed adultery, he writes these lines of prose on the leaf of the citronella plant and places it on the left hand of the accused while she is sleeping, and puts his ear on her mouth. The suspect would speak of all that she has done in his absence. If someone has a thing stolen from him and suspects or accuses someone, he should write these lines on frog skin which has been tanned, and then take the tongue of a frog and wrap it in the said skin and hang it around the neck of the suspect, and he would admit immediately. Wallahu a'lam. I don't know. Na'am sara tayfu man ahwa fa'arraqani wal hubbu ya'taridu al-ladhati bil alami. Yes, thoughts and visions of whom I love came to me at night and kept me awake, and love hinders, obstructs pleasures with pain. Yes, thoughts and visions of whom I love came to me at night and kept me awake, and love hinders, obstructs pleasure with pain. Finding no way to deny love any longer, he now admits to it and affirms it. O questioner, you have spoken the truth when you ascribed my conditions to love, and that it was the remembrance of my beloved that has reduced me to the state I am in. Put me in that state which you observe. The verb sara refers to a night journey. The word taif refers to imaginations and visions of the beloved. Man ahwa synonymous with man uhibbu, who I love. While arraqani caused araq, meaning afflicted me with insomnia. Now the reason for these visions and imaginations is that when one's heart and desires are strongly attached to a person, of course, what Imam al-Busayri is we are heading to, it's strongly attached not to any person but to the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That the reason for these visions and imaginations is that when one's heart and desires are strongly attached to a person, the power of imagination causes its form to appear in sleep, in the form of dreams, or in the subconscious state, which then makes sleep difficult. A simpler explanation is perhaps that when the mind is preoccupied, sleep is difficult. The author is saying that love is a pleasurable state, but the experiences and emotions that accompany love can be hurtful at times and can hinder the enjoyment of the pleasures of love and other pleasures like sleep, food and drink. The benefit of this line of prose, Na'am sara tayfu man ahwa fa'arraqani wal hubbu ya'taridu al-ladhati bil alami, is that whoever repeats it with a sincere intention, accompanied by the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after Isha prayer until he sleeps, falls asleep, that he would see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his dream, insha'Allah. Ya la'imi fil hawa al-udhri ma'dhiratan minni ilayka walau ansafta lam talumi. Line number 9. O you who reproach me, blame me for love, whose excessiveness, whose intensity is such that all would excuse me for it. I seek that you accept my excuse. For if you were just, you would not blame me. O you who reproach me, blame me for love, whose intensity, whose excessiveness is such that all would excuse me for it. I seek that you accept my excuse. For if you were just, you would not blame me. Here, al-hawa al-udhri is construed to mean a love of such intensity, such that all would excuse the lover. If al-udhri is taken to refer to mean an ascription to the Yemeni tribe of Udhra. There is a Yemeni tribe called Udhra, whose people were known for their true love and gentle hearts, such that love used to lead to death for many of them. Then the meaning of this line of prose, number 9 here, would read slightly different. It would read, O you who blame me, who reproach me, for love that resembles the love of the people of the Yemeni tribe of Udhra. I seek that you accept my excuse, for if you were just, you would not blame me. Ma'dhiratan can also be read as ma'dhiratun, which is grammatical, of course, if it's taken to be the subject whose predicate is minni ilayka ma'dhiratun, or ma'dhiratun minni ilayka. Or if we say ma'dhiratun is the predicate is the khabar, whose subject is not mentioned. So in Arabic it would be hadhihi ma'dhiratun minni ilayka, whose literal translation would be, this is an excuse from me to you. As for ma'dhiratan, as is normally read in the accusative case, the mansub case, it's the object of the verb that is not mentioned. Meaning, uqaddimu ma'dhiratan, I offer an excuse. Or it could be what is known as the maf'ul mutlaq, or the cognate accusative of the verb a'tadhiru, yani a'tadhiru ma'dhiratan. Now it is the norm for a person to be blamed, for a person to be reproached by others for not having a handle on his emotions, right? If somebody shows so much emotions, then you tell him, hey, relax, brother. It may even annoy. Yeah. Now, when the author had exposed his feelings of love and blamed him for it, he replied angrily, he retorted, as to how anyone who is just, fair and impartial can blame a person who displays sincere and intense love. As for the rationale of the description of he who blames him for love as being unjust, it is because deep and intense love is not something that one decides to do out of his own free will and choice. Rather, it is a state that one has little or no control over. And surely one cannot be blamed for that which he has no control over. However, the inclination to love someone in the beginning is within one's control and is a conscious decision, normally influenced by admiration for physical, moral, intellectual and spiritual qualities found in the beloved, or due to the favors he has received from him or her. These are reasons for love in the beginning. It is also a known fact that only he who is in love or has been in love can understand the state of a lover. So only such a person can pass comments or is qualified to pass comments or blame another true lover. This also applies to spiritual states. For he who has not experienced them is not qualified to comment in terms of acceptance or rejection. Ibn al-Farid makes a reference to this in the following lines of prose. He says, دَعْ عَنْكَ تَعْنِيفِ وَذُقْ طَعْمَ الْهَوَى فَإِذَا عَشِقْتَ فَبَعْدَ ذَلِكَ عَنِّفِ. Abstain from rebuking me and taste love, meaning taste love yourself. And after you have fallen in love, you may rebuke me. Now the episode of the sons of the Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, who blamed him for his love and longing for Yusuf alayhi salam, comes to mind. We will come across this later on in verses 84 and 85 of the chapter, where Yaqub alayhi salam then turned away from them, from his sons, and he said to himself, how great is my grief for Yusuf. Ya asafa ala Yusuf. And his eyes turned white. It affected his vision. Some say he went blind from grief. Yet he was suppressing his sadness. His son said, by Allah, you would not cease to remember Yusuf until you become extremely ill, or till you pass away, till you die. As for the benefits of this line of prose, number 9, if it is read with the next line after every prayer, which is line number 10, it would help one to overcome his desires and assist him in carrying out the religious obligations. If one writes it with saffron mixed with musk and rose water on a round piece of paper and puts it beneath his turban between his eyes, it would give him the ability and courage to correct that which is wrong. Again, Wallahu A'lam. I have no knowledge of this. I'm just quoting. Line number 10. أَدَتْكَ حَالِيَ لَا سِرِّي بِمُسْتَتِرٍ عَنِ الْوُشَاةِ وَلَا دَائِي بِمُنْحَسِمِ. My state is beyond your experience and knowledge, such that you are unable to excuse me for it. My secret is not hidden from talebearers, and nor can my affliction be terminated, be removed. My state is beyond your experience and knowledge, such that you are unable to excuse me for it. My secret is not hidden from talebearers, and nor can my affliction be terminated, removed. The first part of this line, line 10, can also be interpreted to be a dua, to be a prayer against he who is blaming him from his state of love. He who is blaming him for his state of love. If that is the case, then it would not read, it would then read, may you be afflicted with my state. May you be afflicted with my state. It can also be interpreted to construe a question in which the interrogative particle, the hamza, is assumed. Mahdhuf, they call it, has been dropped, so assumed. Has my state of love afflicted you such that it has led you to blame me? Has my state of love afflicted you such that it has led you to blame me? So these are possible interpretations. It can also be interpreted as a prayer in favor of the blamer, and therefore express the meaning of the expression. For example, you say, La araka Allahu hali. May Allah not make you experience my state. Somebody is a bad say, may Allah not make you experience my state. Adatka, in the beginning of it, is in this line of prose is synonymous with jawazatka, surpass you, is beyond you. That's why we said my state is beyond your experience, the initial translation. As for la sirri bi mustatirin, it is an individual separate clause which represents a response to a question from he who is blaming him. What is this condition that you consider as great and beyond me? Then the word al-wusha. Al-wusha is the plural al-washi, which refers to those who carry tales between lovers to split them apart and spoil their relationship. There is no doubt that such tale bearers are enemies of the lover, so it hurts him that they know of his secrets. As for the affliction that he is suffering from, due to his love, he can find no cure for it, for he is still seeking to be united with his beloved. Now those who blame and reproach him for his state of love have not ceased blaming him, and so he has responded now in this manner. Now all the different interpretations mentioned just now are equally suitable, for there is no doubt that those who did not share his experience were in no condition to judge him, nor were they the victims of his experiences such that they were made to suffer for them. He in fact seeks that they are not beset by his condition. I don't want you to experience my condition, but don't blame me for it. On the other hand, those who persist in the blame game are told that they deserve to be afflicted with his condition, so that they may realize their misjudgment. I think we'll stop here at the end of line number 10, and we'll continue in line number 11 inshallah next gathering.